Hi there, guys. Welcome to the final episode of the season for What Time to Podcast. So, as you notice, you may have noticed a similar face. Is that a correct word? A familiar face. Familiar face is the correct word.
Similar to himself.
So,
Similar face. I'm a twin.
yeah. So he's not a formal guest, but he is a guest nonetheless. Wolidify, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad that we could build the bridges again between our broken relationship after what happened a few months back.
Yeah. So obviously this is very, very serious.
Shall we maybe get into it?
Let him cook.
I'll let you cook.
Well, actually, no. We'll get into it straight away. But just before we do, explain to the guys that this is the final episode. So the episode's going to be a little bit different, but it's just for the season. So season 3 will be in the works, and that will come out soon. So it's kind of nice though, because we've actually done a full turn. Because at the beginning of the podcast, we mentioned what happened basically when we went, and now we're kind of like coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
So what happened, Wolidify?
Man, life got tough, man, as a 22-year-old. Wait,
Yeah, I mean, that's
was that 22?
essentially
No, I was
happens.
21. 21-year-old, life was tough.
Yeah.
Because I just got a job, and then you're in that like rat race of life.
You graduated as well, actually, in between that time.
Graduate uni. Yeah.
And then you got a job.
Yes. Bro, it's been so long.
Yeah.
Completely forgot. Yeah, I graduated and then did a master's, left the master's. That was stress. I flipped the coin. I still have the coin.
Really?
Yeah. AK gave me a coin. He was like, you know what? Decide your life on the flip of a coin. I was like, you know what? This man knows what he's talking about. Just look.
But no. I said.
And then he gave
What did I say? Come on, man. You have to say the whole thing.
Bro, it's so long I don't remember.
Oh my days! You may have done it wrong. You may have done it wrong.
Wait, what?
No. It wasn't flip a coin.
No, it wasn't
It was
flip of a
flip
coin.
coin, but it was like it will land on whatever you want it to land.
Yeah,
and it'll be
that's
the
what it
outcome
was.
that you were thinking in your head. Like you don't say out loud.
No.
That's what you said.
No, well, kind of, yeah. But I'll tell you what it is. It's basically when you flip the coin, as soon as you flick it, you know what you want it to land on.
Yeah.
And you, because you've already
Established
stated what
it
is, you know what it is.
Yeah.
So in reality, you don't actually need it to land on anything, because at that moment, but you have to be very firm on it.
Yeah.
The fact that okay, whatever it lands on.
It has to be.
But then as soon as you flick it, you know, oh man, I hope it's heads though. There you go.
I think it's even not even that. It's like once it lands, if it's not what you wanted, you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, and then
Once it lands on the one you want, you'll have a feeling of okay.
relief. Like,
And I think that's what it is. And a lot of times, I don't know, like a lot of times when people make a decision, you kind of know what you want.
Yeah.
The only reason you're making a decision because you think one thing is the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Whereas you know that actually that's what I want to do.
Yes, you see how it is. Like a lot of time, we think we want to do something right, and we're like, oh my god, yeah, I'm so down for it, and this and that.
Yeah.
But then eventually you just kind of live life and you realize, wait, that's actually not for me.
Yeah.
This is not what I want.
Yeah.
Like on the Startup Blueprint podcast, he mentioned that, you know, what do you actually want? Like he asked his little brother, what do you actually want to do in life? And he just said, yeah, I want to make money. Like, what is money? Like, how much is good money? He goes, yeah, 100K a year. He goes, well, you can do that in a couple of years' time if you're just working for a company. You don't need to start a business.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta know what your goal is.
Yeah, that's true. Because a lot of people get carried away. They think, oh, I need to do this, so I need to have this to make that.
Yeah.
But that's like in your example, the only reason why you were in masters was because you just thought that was a normal thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Kind of your brothers also followed.
Both my brothers did the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So I was like, that's just what you do in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you never really thought about it, and then once you were in there, you were like, wait, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Am I gonna get in trouble now? Because maybe your parents will watch this episode and they'll be like, oh, so that's why he was flipping that coin.
But it wasn't the coin. It wasn't the chance. We didn't leave it to chance.
No.
It was
It's
to
not by
you get an
chance. Yeah,
idea.
let's clear up. It's not by
Yeah.
chance. What I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
the coin was a good, you can say,
was a
gimmick
it was a
to
trigger.
push me to do it.
It was a little
Like,
trigger for you,
trigger,
yeah.
not gimmick. Trigger.
Yeah.
Let's respect the coin.
Yeah.
It's changed my life.
Yeah. You know where that's from?
Oh, the coin flip.
You may know.
I was thinking Dark Knight because there's
No.
a coin there.
Peaky Blinders.
I've never watched Peaky Blinders.
When was it? I have watched Peaky Blinders not too long ago either. I don't even remember that.
It's in one of the earlier seasons.
Okay, I think I know which one it is, but I think it was quite inappropriate to mention in the podcast.
No, not that one.
Okay.
That's the wrong one.
Okay.
Oh my God.
There's another one. But
Okay.
then he actually says like why the coin flip is so sacred. He actually mentions it. It's because as soon as you flip it, you know what you want it to land on. So that way you just know what you want to do.
It's interesting though, isn't it? How like everyone knows what they really want to do, but they kind of conform to whatever they want
Yeah.
because they just, like you mentioned, your brothers. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, it was just like
But it's. I don't think it's because you. Oh, I have to do it. It's kind of because like you didn't know what you actually wanted to do.
it's
at
sort
that
of like
period of your life.
you don't know what you want to do, and then you don't want to go into the unknown too much.
Yeah.
Like that's also like a big fear, like going into the unknown and being like, all right, here's a new path. No one knows what's gonna happen on it. Like, you know, the sort of experience in the household is like you do a bachelor, you do a master's, and then you get a job. If you don't do the masters, what happens? Do you get the job or not? There's no one to look at and be like, oh, he's still got a job. Let's, you know, you can carry on and not do a masters.
Yeah.
So it was more like everyone did a masters and then they got the job. So it's like if I don't do the masters, does that mean I don't get a job basically? So then, yeah, that was back in like November 2021, and then I spent December, January, and the start of February looking for jobs, and I got a job in February, and then after that it was just the rat race of life that took over my life.
I think like right nowadays, especially because of social media. Damn man, we often talk about social media.
Yeah,
It's
a big
very
thing.
important, right? It's so
Yeah.
influential. So many times you see on social media where people go, "I'm a university dropout. I am this. I am that, and
Yeah.
I am a billionaire, millionaire. This
Yeah.
and that. I make 100K a year, whatever."
Yeah.
And whilst you're still paying off your 100K, I'm making 100K with like no debt.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, there's truth to that. But I think people are just putting down university degrees way too much nowadays. I think they're forgetting what the actual benefit is for it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a standard sort of procedure in a way, not necessarily for everyone. In countries like Germany, for example, like getting into uni is a big thing nowadays. It's not the norm. Over here, it's kind of still like majority of kids, they actually go to university. I think it's dropping. I don't know.
It's dropping a lot, yeah. Because people are like, oh, I don't want the debt. I don't want like things like that. Like the money
Yeah.
in my head is too
Yeah.
expensive.
I think the jobs as well realize because if you have someone who is a graduate, they've demonstrated that they can stick to targets, that they can do something on time, and they can turn up to the classes to a certain degree. So you're proving that.
Yeah.
Whereas they kind of realize if you kind of work during that time, you're proving a similar thing.
Yeah. they
So
kind
jobs
of
are
see
starting
the
to
same
open up because a lot of jobs and actually people that we spoke to as well. So some of the guests that we had, like for example, Claire,
Yeah.
mentioned what she was looking for. She was mentioning very, very basic things, but more so about the mindset. She wasn't saying you have to have incredible skill
Yeah.
to be a trainee or some sort. What you need to have is be respectful, understand that it takes dedication and work, and be open for that.
Yeah.
Not just to be like, oh, I'm just there because I want to work with celebrities.
Yeah.
You know, like she filters that out completely.
Yeah.
And that's going back to what you mentioned with the social media aspect. People see that and they're like, oh, I'm going to drop out uni and I'm going to start a business because it's that easy to do.
Yeah.
There's real hard work behind it. And a lot of times that life is way harder than doing a normal job. And you probably would be happier in a normal job as well.
Yeah.
But
Like-
the devil's advocate part here is that when I was looking for a job and they were like, oh, it's a junior role, you read obviously, you guys seen the memes, you read the description, it's like 2 years experience, 3 years experience.
Yeah.
And even the ones that are like open to like genuine juniors and graduates, they just wanted you to be a robot. Like they just wanted like, what's the dictionary definition of X, Y, and Z? And you have to sit there and regurgitate like a robot. And those were like some of the toughest interviews I've ever done. And I was like, bro, this ain't life, man. Like I'm not trying to be a robot at someone's company. That's
Yep.
just a bit mad.
But that's why you have to choose the right company.
Yeah, exactly. So I got
Yeah.
lucky with that.
I think culture, like the way a culture is within a company,
Yeah.
is so essential nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, why is it that nowadays people are getting a lot more depressed than previous generations? On 2-3 generations before, not our parents' generation, but their parents' generation,
Yeah.
when they went to work, they were like, "Thank God I got a job."
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, I'm lucky I got a job.
Yeah.
I'm making money." Then generation after that, our parents, what they had is, "Oh, I got a job, but I need a good job.
Yeah.
I need a quality job. I need to make X amount of money so I can have X this style of living.
Yeah.
Our generation, completely different. Completely different.
Yeah.
We don't say like, oh, we want to make X amount of money or we want to be in this. They want to get beneficial factors out of it. Oh, I feel happy in that job. Oh, I feel that I'm learning in that job.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable in that job.
Yeah.
Oh, there's women empowerment. There is, a lot of acceptance for a lot of different faiths.
Yeah.
These sort of cultures is so important nowadays when it comes to company.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I applaud that, to be honest, because as humans we should be a lot better to each other. And at the same time, if a company is reflecting that in the way they have their culture set up, or the message that they want their employees to have, then yeah, that's great, man. I applaud that 100%. But yeah, it really kind of, at the same time, if your company is one of those who's very rigid and is like, like one of our friend, he has a company, they have strict deadlines that make you come into the office the whole time, this and that kind of stuff.
Controlling.
Yeah. Like now, because of COVID, right, everyone wants to be flexible. Like when I was I've secured a role now, but when I was kind of looking for a role, a lot of times the recruiter was saying like, one thing though, it's 5 days on site. I was like, why is that an issue? I don't understand why that is an issue. I've done it for my whole life.
Yeah.
Why is it an issue now?
No, man, that's dead, bro.
Do you know what I mean? Now, but it is,
I've done hybrid, but like it's not the fact that like I've done like months where I've gone 5 days a week.
Yeah.
But it's more just the fact that I know I don't have to.
Yeah, now that's what it is.
It gives you like just
now you know.
peace of mind.
Yeah.
That like, oh, if I had a late night, like if I'm here till like 2 a.m. or something, I know, do you know what? I don't have to be in the office, so I can just work from my desk and stuff like that. So you get the peace of mind that like you can still live your life outside of work as much as you want, because you don't have the responsibility of being at the office on time.
That's an example of what was just mentioned, though. These are the stuff that people look for now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That sort of flexibility, where it was an issue before.
Never was. Yeah.
I think before as well, it was like, I think companies also had this sort of. I mean, I'm only 22. What do I know? But I feel like companies had like this sort of stance where it's like you have to be grateful they gave you the job.
Right. Yeah.
But now it's switching where they're actually grateful for the workers they have.
But at the same time, there's so many layoffs, especially in the tech world.
But that's just life, man.
10,000s in big companies.
I'll be honest though, I think it's going to sound just I'm judging it from the guests that we've had, right? And especially the mental aspect, especially in particular Claire, because she was quite recent as well. But it's about, the graft and the grind, blah, blah, blah. You stick it through the mud. I believe as long as you have a project and a goal, then you're willing to do that more so. And I think the job is no different.
Yeah.
If you sign up to a job and you have a role, you have an end goal, right? You want to achieve something, whether that be targets, whether that be something like a project and they have to do, right, or complete on time. It doesn't matter what it is. How you do it, yes, you can discuss that, but ultimately the happiness aspect is when you feel like you're contributing to the company, you're contributing to that project. Yeah, and that's what makes you go into work, actually, because every day you go into work, you're getting closer to your goal.
Yeah.
That's what makes me want to go to the office, because I know in the office I can get loads of done. Like, I'm hybrid right now, but my obsession is the goal. Yeah. And I think that's what makes me happy in my job.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's what a mindset of an employee should be anyway, right?
I think, I think that's what the mindset should be. And I think if that was applied more so, people will then in turn be more grateful because they're grateful to be part of the project.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what you're saying makes sense, but I think, I don't think that's what constitutes to being happy. I think what constitutes is doing something. So in terms of the project, I think if there is a project that you're working towards, then you're motivated to do pretty much, not anything, but you're motivated to do more, and you're happy as a result as well. If you're working tediously and you have no idea why you're doing it, of course you're going to get depressed, because that then becomes a rat race, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like back when we were doing I was thankful, but we were doing retail jobs, we were just scanning or serving, and there was no
I found
need for it.
In that pain, I did find a lot of joy at Tool Station, because I did that for a good couple months where I just stood there 8 hours a day in these steel cut booths, scanning, talking, scanning and stuff. But then like now I look at it, and I'm like, it was actually kind of fun. But during the days, I hated it. Man.
Yeah.
So it wasn't fun.
I don't
You can't-
But I
you
look
can't-
back and I'm like, oh,
But you can't
actually,
look. Yeah, but I understand where you're coming from, because looking back is always good for
Yeah.
your brain,
Yeah.
right?
You always
It's
reminisce the
nostalgia.
good parts.
Yeah, exactly.
But-
I forget all the like.
But the actual job, like you're there and you're just sitting there, you're waiting for the hours to go by.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes tedious. When
Yeah.
when you're thinking, I got this time to accomplish this task, and sometimes you want more hours in the day, and that's when you're happier. You know,
Yeah.
like it's actually a study that people who actually are more busy in life tend to be more happier
Yeah.
because you're constantly working. We as human beings are made to work at something.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the guests we spoke to, they started something themselves, but a lot of them worked a lot harder than a normal person who works 9 to 5.
Yeah.
The reason why they worked a lot harder is because they're probably happier while they were doing it, so they're enjoying the process, and they got to a point where they could build up their own projects.
Yeah.
But
That's what it is, right? Like when you're happy in doing something, it doesn't become work. It's not really work.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
it's the joy that you get out of it.
Yeah, like even like for example James, right? When we spoke to him, I mean, he had how many years of experience in finance? Like
Man, immense.
crazy years, and he was sort of his CEO level as well.
Yeah.
So he did not need to really work anymore, right?
Yeah.
But he still found a different project, a consultancy,
Yeah.
and he's still working now, and he loves doing it. He's now
Yeah.
considering doing a podcast as well, because that's just what he has a project, and he enjoys the process as well.
That's a podcast I would really listen to him.
Yeah, 100%.
Like he had so much. I mean, there was so much insight. Like you know, like whoever wasn't in the room would not have heard like his actual like knowledge that we had. Sometimes I find that quite unfortunate sometimes because a lot of times we get so much information out of people
Yeah.
when the cameras or the mics are not on.
You should have a hidden BTS camera, bro.
Yeah, like we need to have that. Yeah, so just a GoPro
Inside
like somewhere.
the pod part.
Yeah, exactly.
like a little
And
camera.
that would be the mic. and
Yeah. It's got a
like
mic in
you
there.
know have something in it. Yeah, but like yeah, it's just like so many times like when we just because now essentially right like basically we've kind of built kind of like a network of people
Yeah.
around us through this podcast, and we have conversations with one another. Like the other day, I was in contact with someone and they were actually asking me like, look, I saw your podcast with James about the life coach and stuff. Like, how can I be in touch with that? How can I be in touch with him? I mean, like, well, like if you had listened to the whole podcast, he actually mentioned like, look, if you comment on it or just go by us, and then he'll actually give you a free session. I'm actually in talks with him, and like you know, I'm gonna be helping him out with his podcast, and he's been telling me like it's not even that I begged for it. He's been telling me, when are you booking a session?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, man, he's actually making me like he's making sure that I go ahead and do it, because I said, look, I want to do it, and he's actually saying like, when are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
I find us up, mate. I admire that, because he's not gonna
says
not gonna
what he
charge me
means.
for it.
Because he talked about it, like he says what he means and he does what he's.
The next morning,
Yeah.
he asked me, so did you wake up early and do your push-ups?
Yeah. He messaged
I didn't
me as
ask
well.
him to do that.
He messaged us saying, "Yeah, I told him to do his push-ups." Like he's holding you to your word, and that's what you mentioned about holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Like I love it when people like are what they say. It's like, jeez, man, you really are.
Do you
what
hold
say.
yourself accountable to something on your daily life?
Sometimes a bit too much.
No, about like, do you have like a routine like James says? Like what he does,
Yeah.
he posts it on his story. I woke up at this time with the timer on. You know the
Yeah,
automatic time on Instagram, like something like oh good morning or good day or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's just for himself. It's not for anyone else. It's just for himself, and he puts up in a story and then puts it in his 5 a.m. Club highlight, and like you can go on it. I was just thinking like, oh, let me check. He mentioned that. Let me check. Literally every single day, I was like, wow, there's so many like sections in there.
There's not
I
enough,
was
like, little
amazed.
bars
Yeah,
for him.
literally.
Everyone has different ways of holding themselves accountable. That's the
Mate,
thing, though.
that's
Like
crazy.
I use a kind of like a reward system. So if I do this, I can then do this.
Yeah,
If I don't do it, I can't do it. So, for example, I like exercising. I like doing sports, going to the gym. I don't do it if I don't do my actual work. I literally tell myself, no, you're going to be miserable for the day. Like literally, it's that bad. And also, time is a big thing as
that
well.
explains a lot.
If yeah, but if I don't use my time wisely, then I have, like, for example, like the missus is not going to be happy if I say, oh, I'm doing work for these hours and I'm not doing anything when I could have been speaking to her.
Yeah.
That's a really simple thing as well, right?
Yeah.
And that makes me thinking, wait a minute, I'm taking the time out. I should be doing something.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to sit around whatever, because
Yeah.
I personally feel like if I'm sitting down and, like, let's say I've wasted 2-3 hours just watching a series or scrolling through YouTube, because it happens to everyone at some point.
Yeah.
I feel the same at the end than I would if I did work, and I mean physically, body-wise. But I feel mentally much happier once I've done work.
Yeah.
So I really should do that, because I know I'll be in the same spot.
Yeah.
So it's...
But you know, the accountability stuff, that all comes with experience, right? Like, you wouldn't say you can just do it.
That's a good point, but I don't think so. I think I think it's down to discipline.
But that's
I don't
with
think it's-
experience, right?
No.
I don't think discipline has... I don't say yes or no, because I don't think discipline has anything to do with experience, if that makes sense. Yes,
Right.
you can have experience of a point, because here's the thing, right? You can become disciplined right now. You can also lose your discipline right now
Yeah, exactly.
by just not doing it or doing it.
But I feel
So-
like your experience or the things you've done or been through help you with that, right?
It depends. Like you,
Because,
yeah,
like, so,
you
like-
can have negative experiences,
so,
and
like-
you can think in your head, "Oh, I was in this position when I wasn't disciplined. I never want to go there again."
Right, but you see,
right?
like a lot of footballers who come from like African nations and stuff, they're very driven to do their training and do their things and get into the pro scene and stuff, because they're like, okay, back home I didn't have a lot of money. Football's a great way for me to make my money and stuff like that. So they're very driven that way at a young age to be like, all right, I need to do my training, I need to do this, I need to do that. But if you're someone, okay, say like me, right? You grew up in England. You've basically been given things to you in a sense that you don't have to really work for anything. You don't really have to ask for anything. You don't really have to beg for anything. Food's on the table. There's a roof above your head. You're able to sleep every night peacefully. You go to school. You get to do your homework. You get to do all those things that a lot of people can't do, and they're not able to do that. So then when you get to that stage, and then you're like, okay, all right, I want to do something for myself, but everything's kind of not given to you. I'm not saying everything's given to you. Like, if a kid gets A stars, it's not because he's given it. He did his work and stuff. But your average student, right? They're being drip fed a lot of stuff all the time. Like, you see, I saw this thing for when I went from GCSEs to A levels. In GCSEs, you get drip fed a lot of work and a lot of techniques to study and how to revise and revision sessions. When you get to A levels, they cut it off. They cut your drip feed.
Yeah.
So you're kind of on your own. Like, all right, how do I manage my time now? How do I manage how much I'm studying, how much I'm enjoying myself?
But I think that point, because they're just preparing you for the real world bit by
Right.
bit anyway. So that's different. I think just going what you touched on quite interesting with the accountability part.
Yeah.
The only reason why I will say, because you develop your point based on that, but the footballing thing that you
Yeah.
mentioned, a lot of footballers who come from this background, once they're pro, they
Yeah.
don't realize their full potential.
Right.
A lot of them, let's be clear, a lot of them are injury prone. Someone like Neymar, who's an incredible football
Yeah.
player, or Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, incredible football player. Why was he injured so often? He never took care of his body.
Right.
Whereas other players in other countries who didn't have that talent,
Yeah.
they continuously are available and improved and improved and improved.
Yeah.
But like his meaning is like the
I'm
the life experiences that you take, right?
But again,
Of course, it makes you disciplined. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes you disciplined, 100%. So you kind of get molded into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what Faiq is saying, and which is Faiq the real one, is saying, is it does not take experience for you to become disciplined.
Right. Yeah.
So you shouldn't pinpoint down to that basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's excuses as well, because I've talked to people who've literally told me, well, not okay. I've talked to people and I've seen it who've told me, oh, I don't have this or I don't have that because of my background, because I had this experience, so
Yeah,
I don't do that. And I'm like, okay, but what has that got anything to do with now? You're just making yourself an excuse
Yeah.
after not doing something. There's a difference, right? Because
Yeah.
when you're lazy and then afterwards, because an excuse is an excuse, even if it's a viable one, it's still an excuse. It depends on how you want to live yourself.
Yeah.
Live yourself, how you want to live with it. If it's a viable excuse, you're going to feel in your heart it is a viable excuse.
Right.
But people then will hold on to it. a lot of people can actually still be disciplined and go through difficult moments, but discipline is about the action. Discipline is when you're not feeling like it, you still do it.
Yeah.
And that's where motivation comes from as well.
That's what like
you're doing it religiously, you know.
Yeah.
that's what like the founder of KFC, wasn't he called Colonel Saunders?
The kernel.
The Colonel, yeah. Like he had, what was it? Like, you know, basically what I'm trying to touch on is never too late.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of people, like you're saying, like, what about now though, right? A lot of people were like, no, that was back then. Like, you know, back then I had this issue. If today I'm living good life now, so now. But if I had this back then I'll be something different. And like yeah, it's like, you know, like the Colonel, he basically started at like a very old age.
Yeah.
What was it, 65?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And his life prior to that, oh my god, horror.
Yeah.
I mean, his circumstances in terms of like his relationships, he was like, you know, he was in a proper depressed state. He actually attempted suicide or something as well.
I don't know.
But yeah, it was really, really horrible. And then like he just goes like, what am I good at? Making this. Let me make that.
Yeah.
Comes up with a whole Kentucky Fried
Touching
Chicken
on that
KFC.
point as well, is he made, just jumping on that, he made action, right? He had an idea, he took action, and he went along with it despite what happened.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to, is
Yeah.
you carry on going, right? And the never too late part is really interesting as well, because yes, it's never too late to start, but also if you stop doing what you're doing, it can all go. It's never too late to fail as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, but it means that if you stop doing your action, you will also go back a step.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, right? And it's kind of the beauty of it,
Yeah.
is the fact that anyone can become anything at any time.
Yeah.
You can become massive at any point in time. Anyone can also fall off. That's the downward part.
Yeah.
But I think that's what makes it really, that's what makes discipline a really beautiful
I feel like
thing.
it's not so much like discipline and accountability. I feel like it's just how much emotional control you have.
I don't think emotions have anything to do with it.
I feel like it is because I feel like
I don't
if
think it's
you,
anything to do with it.
No, I feel it has to have some part to do it. Because if you have, say, if you're a very fearful person, okay, so if you're like, I don't know if I should, like, if you could have like you could have the idea of like Microsoft or like Apple, but if you're so fearful that you don't want to leave a secure job or something like that, you wouldn't really take that step. You could be disciplined and accountable of your own actions within work and stuff like that, or, you know, have some sort of lifestyle like that. I don't know what discipline and accountability is. I barely have it. But like, you could have that, right? But if you're so fearful, you probably couldn't take those steps that you needed, if that makes sense.
I think
So
what
when-
you need
when-
to. I think what you what. Well, I mean, not you, but like in terms of like, in terms of anyone who's like who has a fear factor, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is the other? Let's say, you know, you have the fear factor of like approaching someone, you know, and although you let's say you want to go into like a sales sort of, you know, you want to sell something, but then you have the fear of actually approaching people
Yeah.
in public, whatever. But then the question is like, look, what do you fear actually? What do you fear more, like approaching that person, or you actually fear the fact that you're never going to be selling this until you actually do this?
No, but I think that's two different things, because the concept of doing something in currently, immediately, and then doing something in the future is different. The fear of those two things is different.
No, what I'm not saying, like, I'm not necessarily speaking about the fear. I'm trying to say is like, look, maybe what you got to do is point that fear to something else instead, rather than
Like
actually
channel it to
to something different, right? And then that's where like you can actually use that fear factor and make it your driving factor for discipline.
Yeah. I agree.
But here's the interesting part is your inwards, however you feel, it doesn't actually affect your motivation, because motivation and the study behind it comes from actually doing an action.
Yeah.
If you, for example, you know, the start of the day when you have to work, or you have to accomplish a task,
Yeah.
the most difficult part about any task is actually just getting a laptop and just starting it.
Or even, like,
Because once you
rolling
do
out
it,
of
you do it bit by bit, you don't get on
Yeah.
the zone. That's why we procrastinate all the time as human beings, because it's hard to just get started.
Yeah.
I think the fear that you mentioned is something a bit deeper.
Yeah.
I think what you're coming from is, if I'm working in a job, why would I fear doing this project even when I know it's a good idea? right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something different.
Like if you know your ability and you know you're good at it, you're sick at it, bro.
Yeah.
Why like a lot of people have it? Why do they have that fear of like being like, actually, I don't want to go for it because of X, Y, and Z could happen?
Do you know why? Because they don't back themselves or the idea, and they don't believe in it. So they don't want to go ahead with it. You have to take risks like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Every single person and guest that we've had, they've all taken a risk.
Yeah.
They all either left their jobs, or they've started something completely different to what they were already doing before. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
These guys have been doing it for years, but they left it. But they took that risk, and it's paying off because after taking the risk, they backed themselves and holding themselves accountable, being disciplined, they built something up.
Right. Yeah.
It's like it's on Netflix. There's the series called The Playlist. It's basically about Spotify,
Okay.
and it's really interesting actually. The way they've done the series is they first tell it from the actual founder, who's also the CEO, like his point of view, and then the point of view of the of like the opposing party, who then later on joins them. Then they also show it from the legal, the person who was the lawyer, from her point of view, and then also from the coder's point of view, and all of them have like basically like a different sort of story, right? But the one common thing that they have is to actually believe in it, and that's their driving factor.
Yeah.
And like the lawyer, for example, she became junior partner at a firm, and then she was going to become like, I mean, I'm not trying to spoil it for you guys, but she kind of leaves that firm, joins Spotify as a startup, which has a total different environment to what she's used to.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's a meeting where they kind of discuss something, and then she's like, you know what, if you don't want to go this way, then I'm out, if you don't even want to listen to me. And then when she goes out and she goes to this company, back to her firm, and they say, look, you come back, great, we actually going to make you a senior partner now. So she had like an amazing package there. And then she's at a meeting and stuff. All of a sudden, she just has, something happens, and she's holding those pearls, and she just has this idea, and she, in the meeting, she goes, sorry guys, I got to leave. And she leaves a place that she had already left, where someone was not agreeing with her. But because she believed in it, and because she had the confidence in herself, that, look, if we make this through, it will work out. She went back, and this is what actually made the company, well, from her point of view, succeed.
Yeah, I mean, that belief, I don't know, I think confidence is so important, right? Just jumping on that story as well, that actually confidence alone and belief alone can take you so far, because you believe in everything that you do.
Yeah.
And if we take that physical, that story, once she had that idea and everyone was on board, like all the people in different levels were on board in that one idea, you do everything with more conviction.
Yeah.
Again, you know the project now. The project is there, you believe in it, and now you're working towards that project.
Yeah.
So you're putting extra time in. If you're pitching it to someone, you believe in it. So it's way easier to pitch when you believe in something as well. So it trickles down, right?
It's a mixture of everything then, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a mixture of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's overall arching success. I think it's going to sound a bit, I think accountability is a tool, right?
Yeah.
Discipline is a tool.
Yeah, the tools.
But the belief
And it
is
doesn't
something
sound
deeper.
yeah.
Yeah, I always say that, yeah. But it's something, when you're using the tools, but the belief is something which is in your core. That's deeper,
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
right?
It's a skill set to have, and you can essentially use as a tool, right?
I think fear is a good tool if you use correctly, because fear will tell you, what am I missing? What do I need to do?
Yeah.
I've got this fear. Let me now address it, and that's also very important to success, right?
And at the end of the day, like every time you do something, right, you gotta ask yourself, like, okay, what's there to lose?
Yeah, you can't be afraid. I think everyone says it, but I had this example, I think, from Kobe Bryant, it's a random tip, where he goes, my superpower is I'm actually not afraid to fail. Because I work my hard off because I love winning, but he goes, I'm not afraid to go out there and miss every single shot like he did in the beginning of his career, because I'm not scared of failing.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways,
There's
Just
one.
rock
What if we're talking about quotes here? Can I tell you a quote I really hate?
Go ahead.
About motivation.
You hate?
I
Okay.
hate this quote.
All right.
Okay.
Because I feel like the two things just don't match. Okay. So the guy goes. You probably see. Everyone's seen this. Like they follow like motivation Instagram reels and stuff. It's like a guy who goes, "Oh, if you have $56,000 every day and it resets the next day, you would do your best to spend every single cent and dollar because you know it's going to reset the next day, right?" Makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes, "So you have 56,000 seconds in a day or something like that, right? Why are you wasting every second? Like, why don't you utilize every single second of your day?" And I just feel like that. I get what he means, but I just feel like the two don't connect, right? Like using.
Why not?
I think the point is.
Time is money.
Yeah. Well, no, but I think. Look, these guys they make it extreme. I think the point is use your day the best you can.
Yeah.
However, the point that he didn't communicate is that also includes taking care of, for example, your family, spending time with family, relaxing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also doing that, holding yourself accountable.
I mean, yeah. What
Having
it
a
really
balance.
means is like, look, don't waste on something that you actually don't want to do.
Yeah.
Essentially, what it is.
Yeah.
But every time I watch him, I hate him.
Yeah. So yeah.
Something inside me is like, nah, man.
Well, hopefully we did a better job.
I mean, yeah. End of season 2 now.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll be back with season 3 very soon. I'm actually going to look in that camera because Faiq is in that camera now. So yeah. So like, hope there's going to be like great guests coming up for season 3. We will probably like kind of like we want. The real reason why we want to take a break is we want to again like take a step back, reflect, try to improve a couple of things. I think we're even going to be improving some of the equipment here, and then you just make better content and better episodes and better podcasts for all of our audience. And yeah,
Having said that as well, guys, if you have any suggestions, let us know. Comment and subscribe as well.
Oh yeah,
we've looked at the what's it called, the ratio, and you guys look. Subscriptions don't take long. You just press a button. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out a lot as well because we're on the beginning phase, and we know every single subscriber.
We know
it, so
exactly.
It means a lot. But in the meantime, look, stay tuned. We'll still be active as well on social media, giving constant updates, and hopefully you guys see us soon. Thank you very much, Solidify.
Hey man.
Thanks for being
jumping
on.
No worries, man.
It
Really
was
appreciate
random,
it.
but we love these spontaneous things, right?
Yeah.
Bro, that's my life, man. Spontaneous combustion.
Yeah, combustion and flames.
I'll
But
go do flames now. See, like,
Oh,
in the
we
area.
we may
not that,
see you
not
we may see you again as well, hopefully in the future. It'd be nice to come
Me
around.
seeing you on my own channel.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, actually we're gonna plug that as well.
Secret
Willidify.
insider.
We don't just use his name, that's not a random nickname.
Yeah.
Please go follow Willidify.
Yeah.
Anything you want to plug at the moment in particular? Remember your Twitch stream?
Nah, we'll keep it kind of quiet.
Shall I fire you up a bit?
Yeah, I'll wait.
We've got more subscribers on YouTube than you now. There you go. That must hurt, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, see you at season 3.
Always make me feel better.
Subscription.
Well, I mean, I use it. 'Cause I actually wanted to fire you up a bit.
You don't do it on the pod. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. It's
I
live.
think I wasn't tracking it myself. You think I was watching it myself? Well, I'm really
Fuck girl!